Happy June. It marks the Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We're highlighting the importance of bringing attention to unique mental health challenges men face. Because the thing is that we have to get the mind and body right and get around the stigma that mental health and actually seeking, therapy brings, especially among men.
Most definitely, John. We're also exploring how physical exercise can aid in both mental and physical well-being. So to talk more about it, Dr. Renee Exelbert is a licensed psychologist and a certified elite personal trainer. And Victor Garcia is the CEO of Victor Boxing and Fitness. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. So, Doc, let's start with you. I try to do what I can by leading by example, that is, encouraging other men to get healthcare checkups, as well as, seek counseling if you're struggling with mental health. But how can we actually raise the awareness and get people used to actually addressing their challenges and issues and to get around the stigma?
Yeah, I don't think that people realize some of the statistics that are really kind of scary. 4 times the rate of men die by suicide than women, and only 19% of men are diagnosed with a mental health disorder in comparison to women, which is 26%. And only 1/3 of the mental health care system is being accessed by men. So we're seeing a huge amount of men dying by suicide, but they're not being diagnosed with mental health disorders and they're not accessing the mental health system. So we really want to start paying attention to diagnosing. Women are known as internalizers. They keep a lot in, they worry, they feel depressed. And so when they go to physicians and mental health providers, they're often diagnosed with mood disorders like depression. Whereas men are known as externalizers. They come across as more aggressive. They often mask their symptoms with substances, and they're not diagnosed with depression. They're often diagnosed with substance issues or ADHD or autism. And so I think that we really want to start paying attention to the men in our lives and what they're experiencing and notice those symptoms.
Yeah, those are really staggering statistics,
Wow.
Dr. Renee. Victor, how can physical fitness help keep your life in check and really set your goals here?
Well, during my experience, I always have a lot of clients that was going through some stress and some mental health issues. And the only thing they always come back to me is, Vic, doing this physical exercise, hitting the bag, releasing all my anger, energy onto that bag helps them a lot. Like they can't go through a day without doing that, because to them, that 1 hour, 2 hours they spend exercising is all they have, really. And that's how they get through the day. And they always come back to me and say, Vic, I love it. Thank you for this environment you created for me to just, to release that anger, that issue, whatever they're going through, physically and mentally. The gym, the physical activity really helps them out a lot. It's just an escape. I provide a good escape for them.
Doctor, I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I'm a Gen Xer and I'm old school, and I'm one of those people in terms of have to get over this stigma. I'm not. I'm on TV. I know how to communicate, but I don't really communicate my thoughts and feelings. I want to give you one example. I survived 9/11. I was in 7 World Trade Center. The lady I was seeing at the time continuously kept asking me, how are you feeling? Like, would you stop asking me how I feel? Yeah. Because my mind was moving on. That's how I was trained. That's how I was structured. I was raised by a traditionalist. Again, what are some other ways? Because there's a lot of people like me out there that don't really talk about the feelings or what we're actually going through. It's about moving on.
Right. So something interesting about men and women is that women respond to the comment, how do you feel? And men respond to the comment, what do you think about this? Which is also just highlighting the differences. Those differences start really early on. Children are socialized very early on for girls to express their feelings and for boys to find that physical prowess is much more important. So we often hear negative comments when boys are expressing emotion like man up, and they hear that when they're 5 years old. And so at the core, we really need to start changing the way we raise boys. We want to start focusing on empathy and care and express that emotions doesn't signal emotional weakness. It's not weakness. Expressing emotions is very safe and very strong. We also want to see more from male role models. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came forward. He talks about having depression. Jay-Z talks about going to therapy. Michael Phelps, who has ADHD, has talked about how important therapy has been. So we want to see more of that. And we also want to make mental health much more accessible. Right now, the therapy field is highly dominated by women, and it's only about a quarter served by men. And so we want to make men more representative of that, so men feel more comfortable. We want to make mental health more accessible in the workplace, so there's no shame and no stigma.
Right. Victor, similar question to you. I mean, why do you think there's this stigma around talking about mental health issues, and how are you focused on it as someone who is really training men to overcome this, whether it's through, we saw boxing or just in general physical fitness to get your mind and body in line?
Well, adding to the doctor, she hit on the nail. Positive reinforcement is very important to these guys. Like that's the key thing I push in. Like I want to let them come in, let them feel safe, let them know that they're doing a good job. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're doing that, and give it your best. Because when they come in, they build the confidence. It's majorly building up confidence, showing them that you could do this. Anyone could do this. You're not the only ones going through issues. Everybody around you is going through stuff, and you got to take care of yourself and just always be around the environment that's going to reinforce that positive energy.
Yeah.
It's really about trust, too, in terms of communication. But I like your strategy, Doctor, in terms of, I'm a thinker, right? And a way to possibly get me to talk about what I'm feeling and what I'm going through is how you phrase the question really will determine what information comes out. So it acts almost like a magnet to draw out certain things. So that's a key strategy, whether it be women asking men, but also men. We talk among ourselves. Victor can actually attest to this. And sometimes how you actually approach it will determine how much a person shares, especially if there's trust there.
Absolutely. I don't know if you all have seen the TikTok challenge that was going on a few weeks ago, where these burly men were calling each other to say goodnight, right? And it got a lot of comments because people thought it was so funny. But that just sort of demonstrated how far we need to move forward, because it was sort of a joke that men don't do that. And once again, people can model that men do that. And even in terms of exercise, when somebody comes and hits a bag, right, or kicks really hard, that's a great way for a trainer to be like, wow, you look really angry, right? And name the feeling instead of just boxing, right? Like there's a lot of feeling that comes from movement. And when we can express that through words, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
You know what, Doc? Time out. Time out. There's no way I'm calling Victor. Hey, Victor, I'm just calling you to say goodnight.
Did you see that TikTok challenge?
There's nothing wrong with that, John.
No. I take everything else you said, but there is no way I'm doing that.
I maybe
why wouldn't you do it, John? Why wouldn't you do it?
There is no way, I'm not doing it solely for that purpose. I'm calling to talk about the game or talking about something else. But hey, man, I just called to say goodnight. I'm like, nah.
That's what women do that. And even if you can just call to talk, that would be great.
What does Victor have to say?
Yeah,
Victor, would you do that?
Do you want to hear from John?
I want to ask you some serious question. Like, are you feeling okay?
Yeah, that's nice.
Can we just sit down and have coffee later?
Yeah, something like that. But not just call it. It's like, we got to draw the line there.
Victor, I did notice, though, too, I think it's Dr. Renee is also highlighting the point about camaraderie. And we see that with your classes. I mean, they're all group classes. So I think that's all a great way also check in on people maybe you see every week, ask them how they're doing, and to Dr. Renee's point again, like to really get a sense, you see someone maybe punching the bag a little harder this week or just not acting like themselves. So I think you probably are one to attest that it's really important to be in a group and feel connected socially too.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things about group classes is the camaraderie. Like everyone's doing it together at the same time. Everyone's is like unison. Like they're all doing it. They all experience something. It is a similar experience in the boxing gym. And then when they get out the gym or finish the class, then they all get up and talk, and it just naturally comes out, like wherever they're going. And they feel good about talking about it. Because that's one thing I stress: just be yourself, let loose, and you're in a good environment. Like no one's gonna judge you here.
That's awesome. In those video clips we just showed in terms of, you training a lot of women and it looks like boxing, that's a great way to get men out. I mean, to work on the physical and mental healthness. You might have me there.
Yeah.
Now, you can call me and say, hey, John, just call to see if you're coming to the gym tomorrow.
And by the way, have a good night, John.
So how much do you, Doc, how much do you get into talking or making that connection between mental and physical health?
Me personally, I'm also a personal trainer. I think that the mind-body connection is incredibly powerful. Movement is a great way for us to release stress in our bodies. It's a great way to release feelings. So much of what we do with our bodies, our bodies impact our minds and our minds impact our bodies. So if we are feeling anxious, we might end up with a stomach ache. If our bodies aren't feeling well, we could get in our brains and start thinking negative thoughts. So it's really important to ally with the two of them, check in with your body, do scans, use your body as a barometer to kind of sometimes figure out what you're feeling. If you're getting chronic headaches, perhaps you're not actually experiencing head pain, you're experiencing pain emotionally, right? And it's just showing itself with headaches. And many people can do that. They lock trauma in their bodies and they end up with chronic health issues. So movement is an amazing way to get what you're feeling out. And so even if we work with personal trainers who can be more attuned to showing people that this is a great way to express yourself, and as you're pushing, scream out something that's bothering you, or as you're crushing something, crush something negative that's happening in your life, really metaphorically.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Renee Exelbert. We appreciate your expertise. And as far as you, Mr. Trainer, Elite Trainer, this is as far as it goes. Good morning. Victor Garcia, we appreciate it.
Oh my gosh.
Coming up, the day's top headlines.
Alex Kramer joins us after the break.